Praise the Lord. I just felt really led to make this video, and it's about Jesus, Yahshua. And honestly, as I have studied and things, I know there's a lot of people that think Jesus was born on different days. Okay, as I was studying, and nobody has to agree with me, okay? So, this is just how I see it, okay? I really believe that Jesus was born sometime in April of our calendar year. Naseen in the Jewish calendar year, around Passover. I don't say that he was born exactly on Passover, because that's the day he died, but I do believe that it was around then. And if you study when that star come, that the one that they think that was comet, that was a star, there's only one time that it's been really mentioned. It appeared April, what we call our calendar, April the 18th. Well, I haven't looked it up and seen what it would have been on the nice, the Jewish calendar date back then. Being that give or take a few years when people think he was born. But anyway, let's go on. Now we know that when Jesus was born, Caesar Augustus had taxed and the country, and they had to go there to where the man had to go there where he was born. And so Joseph, the man that Mary is betrothed to, his hometown was in Bethlehem. So they had to go over there in Bethlehem, which was prophesied in the Bible that he would be born to a virgin. Go to Isaiah. You can find that in Isaiah. But it said that it would, Jesus would be, the Messiah would be born to a virgin. Very plain. In fact, go to Isaiah 7 and 14 and you'll see that. So it's prophesied that he would come, that he would be born to a virgin, and that there were certain customs in the law that had to be fulfilled. When Mary, there they go again. When Mary had Jesus, Yahshua, in Bethlehem, in a manger, I don't remember where exactly it is, but over in the Old Testament it talks about an apple tree and a cave. Well, a lot of places over there, that's what they would have as their manger, a cave opening in the side of a cliff. But anyway, Mary and Joseph had to go to Bethlehem. It was a law by Caesar Augustus, and they went. There was no room in the inn, so therefore they had to stay out in the stables. Whether it was a building built or a cave type thing, they were out there. That's where he was born. And then we see the next thing that happened when he was, and this is in Luke 21, you will see when he was 8 days old that he was circumcised. It says, and when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcision of the child, his name was called Jesus, which I believe was Yahshua, which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb. So So this was fulfilled. It was one of the things that they had to do. And when the days of her purification, that's Mary, because after you have a child, you have to wait so many days, and you have to go through a purifying bath, a cleansing bath. And when the days of her purification, according to the law of Moses, was accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem. So I believe, Jerusalem just right over there, right next to Bethlehem, not that far. So, and besides, according to the law, every firstborn male had to be brought to Jerusalem. Okay? To present him to the Lord. That was a firstborn. They had to do that. And I believe that they were already there because of the taxation, but also because of the Passover, because all men had to go. Okay? It was law. Passover, Pentecost, and the Feast of Booths, that all men had to come to Jerusalem before the temple. As it is written in the law, every male that opens the wound shall be called holy to the Lord, and to offer a sacrifice according to that which is called, said in the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. Well, that's exactly what Mary and Joseph did. They took Jesus, Yeshua, to Jerusalem, to the temple, to be offered to the Lord. And, of course, there was a man there that was named Simon, and he recognized him, and he prophesied over him. There was an older woman, Anna, that saw him and prophesied over him. Okay? So, everything was fulfilled by prophecy and by the law. Okay? Now, we're coming to a time, because, see, I hadn't understood much about Bar Mitzvah. But the Lord really had me to go over here because, all of the circumcision, the purification, all of that stuff, and the presentation of him before the law was fulfilled. All right, now we have him at 12 years old at the temple. Okay? And I've always wondered about that. Why was this so important? Why was it so important? Quit. So, I found this. It says, Bar Mitzvah is a celebration when a Jewish boy becomes a man and takes on the responsibility of a man before God in Israel. So, that means they're coming as a man. Now, in Jesus' day, boys of 12 had their bar mitzvah and were in many cases tested to their knowledge and belief in the temple. And that's the reason why we need to look at this story here in Luke 2:41 to 45. So, the reason why I believed he was born around this time, okay, his mother and Joseph brought him up there to the temple for the Passover. And I've come to this conclusion that, now studying this, that also it could have been time for his bar mitzvah. Because part of the Bar Mitzvah, the quality of a person is question. A person's questions is seen as the best measure of his understanding and maturity, and remembering how the scriptures was immersed at his questions. Now it says here, nowadays a young man has his bar mitzvah on this Shabbat after his 13th birthday, and has to recite a portion from the Torah and read and pray. Wow. So let's see this. Let's read it. Luke 2, beginning with 41. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. Now, I'm not for sure if he went every year with them, but Mary and Joseph went every year. And Yahshua Jesus was with them this Passover. No doubt about it. No question about it. And when they had fulfilled the days as they returned, the child Jesus tarried behind in Jerusalem, and Joseph and his mother knew not of it. But they supposed him to have been in the company, went a day's journey, and then sought him among their kinfolk and acquaintance. So they've went a whole day's journey, not knowing where their son was and what he was doing. Could it have been because he had a bar mitzvah and he was a man? Just a thought I threw it out there. And when they found him not, they turned back again to Jerusalem seeking him. And it come to pass that after 3 days they found him in the temple. It took them 3 whole days to find this young man, Jesus, Yahshua. 3 days. They found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, being both hearing them and asking them questions. Isn't that what just said about the bar mitzvah? What would happen during the bar mitzvah? That the young man would ask questions and he'd give answers, you know. And all that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers. Here is a young man just going into manhood, but he spoke beyond his years. It was amazing how he answered them and the questions that he asked. They were amazed. And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou dwelt with us? Dealt with us, okay? Why did you do this? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowfully. I mean, you know, meaning they were in a panic. They were, you know, Mary knew that this is a son of God. She was told who he would be. Joseph also knew because the angel come to him and told him. So they both knew that this was the Son of God. And all of a sudden, he was gone. Didn't know where he was. Well, if it was one of your children that got lost and you're in a panic. I lost my son one time at Six Flags over Texas. You want to talk about a panic mother? Which he happened to be down at the guard shack eating ice cream. But see, I didn't know the routine. I didn't know where to go, and I didn't know what to look for. I'm running all over that park looking for my son. being a whole totally, John, where are you? Where? Well, needlessly, one of the guards seen I was panicked and come over there and said, "Are you missing a son?" I said, "Yes, I am." What's his name? I said, "John." "Yeah, well, we got him." He's safe. We got him. So I went and collected my son. So I would know how she felt, because they're looking. They're anxious. And so when they find him, of course, what in the world are you doing? I mean, man, I made my son stay right by me and the rest of that. But Jesus, you know, knowing that he knows his mother knows the customs. Okay. Knowing that he knows Joseph, his stepfather, knows the customs. He was a man now. A man. He's went through the bar mitzvah, okay? He was 12, now he's 13. And he's finishing up the bar mitzvah. Sitting there in the midst of these priests and scribes and you know, all of these people sitting there in the temple, in the midst of them, finishing up his bar mitzvah. And he said unto them, "How is it that ye sought me?" He's asking them a question. Why? Why was you searching for me? Wist ye not that I must be about my Father's business? And they understood not the saying which he spoke unto them. He was trying to say, "Mom, I'm a man now. I am a man now. I need to be about my Father's business." Because no longer was she accountable for his sins and the judgments he's made. Because you have to, you know, you got to understand the Jewish way of thinking. Because when he was sitting there, one of the things in a bar mitzvah a father will say, and this is, I'm going to quote it, "A father is responsible for his son's actions, his sins, and his actions and what he does until his bar mitzvah. Until then, everything that that child does, and that child in your home that is underage, let's say 10, even 11, if they go out and break the law, if they commit a sin, that responsibility is on you as a parent. You're accountable for their sins. But the minute that they come to the bar mitzvah and they become a man, then they are of the age of accountability, and they are responsible for their own actions and their own deeds and their own sins. It lays at their own doorstep. So this is what is happening. During the ceremony, he says, "Praise be he who released me from punishment for the actions of this one." This led to a famous quote, "Until the 13 years, I talked to my son about God." After his bar mitzvah, and after his and after his bar mitzvah, I talked to God about my son. So, in other words, Jesus, when he was sitting there in the midst of the temple, he was already, in my point of view, many may disagree with me, that he was finishing up his bar mitzvah that was required of him. He became a man responsible for his own actions and deeds, and it's no longer the responsibility of Mary and Joseph. They're free. They're free. They will not receive any punishment for what this child does from this day on. It's at his responsibility and accountability. That's why he was sitting there. That's why he was teaching, asking questions, answering. When I had that revelation, I went, wow. He died around his birthday. I really come to believe that. You may not agree, but that's all right. You know, he sure wasn't born tomorrow. You know, December the 25th. We all can agree on that. But I can see this in my mind, in my spiritual mind's eye, that day he was sitting there. It was like, Mom, I'm of age now. I'm responsible for my own actions. You're not now. I become a man. The responsibility falls on me. It's okay. You're not held responsible. And I have to be about my Father's work. Don't you know that? Yeah, I may only be just now turned 13. Because see, when he went there, he was 12. When they found him in the temple, he was 13. I truly believe that. It was after the Passover. And I believed he wasn't born right on Passover, but right after Passover. Could have happened. Or just before Passover. But anyway, around that time, he was finishing up his bar mitzvah. He really was. That's what I believe. That he had to go through this bar mitzvah. And his mother did not fully understand it. Maybe he wasn't quite at his 13th birthday yet. I mean, and maybe he's still at 12, but he had to go through this specific bar mitzvah. He had to be there at that temple. He had to be sitting there amongst all these wise men. He had to be questioned and asking questions like a bar mitzvah. And he was giving accountability for himself and what he knew that he was called to do. But after this incident, he got up. It was finished. He knew it was finished. And he went with his mother. He went with Joseph. And he submitted himself to his family under the laws of Moses, because being the firstborn, he had to go ahead and be trained to become the caretaker, the cureman of the family after the death of Joseph. So anyone that tells you that a child dies and go to hell, you're wrong. I just want to put that in because I've had people say that. No matter what their parents believe, under the age of accountability, they're not responsible for their sins or their actions. It is the duty and the purpose of the parent to raise and teach that child in the ways of God. And if they fail, I almost say double is their portion, because they're accountable for their sins and they're accountable for their child's sins. I just brought this up because Jesus was fulfilling the law. He was the walking, talking embodiment of the law. And I truly believe it was a bar mitzvah. He was coming of age. He was coming of a man. And Mary and Joseph was no longer responsible for his actions and deeds. They really fully didn't understand what he was saying, but he's saying, Mom, this is my bar mitzvah. I am of age now. I am a man. So don't worry, you're not responsible anymore. You're not responsible. I'm responsible. I'm responsible for my own actions and deeds. And from this day forward, I must be about my Father's business. I just hope this is a blessing. Love you. And blessings. Blessings in the name of Yahshua HaMashiach. Amen.